Hi, this is a tutorial for the behavior graph in which I'll be showing a quick, simple AI that will slide to a player, attack them, and slide away continuously. If you want to follow along, if you go to the behavior graph and go to samples and then demo scenes, you can go to demo 3 tutorial, follow along with this tutorial. All the scene has by base is these two enemies, the ground, and animations attached to them. As shown here, there's no specific connection to this besides sliding start going into a loop. This is how you need your animations. They don't have to be connected at all. So your first thing you want to do when creating an enemy is you want to find a place in your project to create an enemy eye. You could just go to AI graph, you create it, and name it what you want. I'm going to name this swordsman demo. Once you create this, and you could create it anywhere, I'm creating it in here for the samples. You go to your enemy, and you add an enemy AI script. This is what's going to control your whole thing. You need it on every enemy you want to use. And then you just drag in your graph, just like that. Your motor is going to be what controls the movement. So I'm going to do rigid body for this. As you see, I already have a rigid body here. And then I am going to use an animator, which I have attached underneath attack main. Attack main is your attacker. UAL2 is your player. So if you drag in the animator from here into your enemy AI, it now has access to all the animations. All right, so we'll get to the actual logic part. So to open your graph, you can double click it here, or you can double click it here, and it'll open it. You can move around the graph just like any other graph. Hold on Alt and drag around if you want to move like this. You can zoom in and out. So the first thing I want to do is check if I can see the enemy. There's a simple node for that. Oh, wrong one. Can see. There we go. So it starts here, signal sends out, can see object, and we're going to look for the player. So first we have to create a reference to the player by going here, creating reference to player. Now we can see target. We have to refresh this real quick. Sometimes when the blackboard updates, you have to refresh by closing opening. There we go. Player. Obstacle layer math, that's if you had a wall. We don't, so we're going to ignore it. And then sight distance, we're going to have 0, which means infinite, and you can see that in the tooltips here. So if you can't see the player, what we're going to do is we're going to play an animation, and we're just going to play an idle animation. Play idle no loop, just like that. So a signal sends out from here. If you can't see the player, it's going to just idle. If you can't see the player, we want this to have two different ways. Either if it's in range of the player, we're going to attack. If it's out of range, we're going to go to it. So we're going to use a check distance to see if it's within that range. So the target, again, is player. And the check distance, we'll just do like 1.4. You can always edit these values to get closer things. All right. So more than check distance is going to be moving towards, and less is going to be the attack. So more than check distance, our first thing we're going to do is we're going to play animation, and we want it to move by sliding. We don't have running animation. We're going to spice it up with slide. So animation, we're going to do slide start. So this means as soon as the graph starts, it's going to see the end player, and it's going to start a slide. However, it's not currently going to move. So to get it to move, we're going to add an and node. We're going to do play. Wrong way. We're going to do move towards. We're just going to move towards the player at, let's say, a speed of 5. So now it's going to move towards, and it's going to play slide. However, if you look into the animator, the slide start is going to slide loop, which means this animation is going to keep on triggering it. So every time it goes to slide loop, this is going to restart it and go back to start, and it's never going to enter the loop. So we have to make sure it doesn't repeat. We can do that through a bool. So we're going to add a new reference here, a bool, and we're going to call it sliding. So we're going to check the bool first. If sliding is false, then we're going to play the animation. And then we're also going to update the bool to be true. And this basically just locks it out of constantly playing this animation because we only want it to trigger once. All right, the second thing we want to focus on is attacking. So the first thing, if it's going to attack, we should update that bool straight away and say we're getting out of sliding. We can also use and to split this real quick. So we do our attack logic. For the attacking, I'm going to use a subsystem for organization's sake, but you can also use it for many things, such as triggering from another script and also being able to call from multiple places at the graph at once. I'm going to add this in. The node will appear over here. You drag it down here, and then through a subsystem node, we could call it. So this is going to send a signal through here, down into here. Now, first thing we want to do is stop all movement. Because currently it's going to move towards it, and we're using rigid bodies, so that movement's going to carry over. So we want to stop all movement. Additionally, after stopping it, we want to play an animation. And this animation, I have the attack split into two things, charging up and then actually doing the damage. So first we're going to charge up. So deconnect this. We're going to set this priority to 1. Since it's in chain, we want this to have a higher priority. We're going to crossfade into it so it looks smoother, and then charge up. Here's the cool part about this graph. We have hold behaviors. Hold behaviors basically skip all of this graph logic, and while this is held, it's just going to do this one node. It's going to ignore all of this. It's going to do this one node until it's done holding. Hold mode, we want to hold this. Since there's a charge up, it's better to have a timer so we could time how long we want the charge up to be. Let's do 0.75 seconds. After that, whenever you have a hold node, you got an exit condition. And what the exit condition does is once it's done holding, it's going to go to the next thing. So the next thing we want to damage. And we're going to hold this till finish instead. And finish is going to hold it until the animation is done, and it's going to go to the exit condition. We want this to have a higher priority. We don't need a crossfade because the animation is just split, so it'll already be smoothly connected. After attacking, we want it to flee. So we're going to use a play animation node. We're going to get it to slide again. This time we don't need this whole logic of setting a bool because it's going to only run once, because the flee node up here is going to hold. So this node is only going to run once right here. this is going to run many times for, let's say, 0.75 seconds. I'm actually going to lower this one down to 0.5. So this is going to flee from the player. We'll do same move speed. And then once it's done fleeing, we're going to exit the slide. Slide, exit. And we're going to hold this till finished. And once that's all done, so this chain is pretty much locked in. Once it starts, it's going to go through all the steps because of all the holds and chaining of it. But afterwards, it'll come back here. Because we have see object on infinite, it's always going to see it. So it'll go back to move towards, and basically switch between these two over and over again. And that's about it for here. So back in the graph, if you go to where you assigned your enemy AI, if you hit force sync with graph, it'll pop up these things, which are your blackboard references. Player goes here, sliding is here. So you can change it here. What I'm going to do is drag in the player, which is this one right here. It's the purple guy. So we're going to bring that in. And now it should work. However, there's one last thing. There's an extra script called enemy functionality is added. And what we're going to do is add that and just hit face movement direction. This is going to make the enemy rotate to wherever it's moving towards. That way, when it turns around and goes the opposite direction, it faces the opposite direction. It's just an extra little thing. It's not really dependent on the graph, but it's good to have, and it's included in the package. Now, if we hit play, it's going to slide forward, attack the enemy, slide away. It's not sliding away. You can see it's likely a priority thing. If we go here on the slide start, yep, it's a priority thing. So we just have to set this to higher priority, so it overrides this. So set this to priority 3, and then slide exit should be fine at 0. Goes forward, attacks, slides away. And throughout the whole thing, if you have this live and you click, sometimes you have to click on the actual object if it doesn't automatically reference. You'll see down here if it's selected, it'll say your object. If you have something selected, then you'll see highlighted nodes on what's active. So it's fleeing, it's playing animation.